And I had the biggest training institute, and I was doing a lot of things at that time, in that city. But at a point in time, I just realized that Lagos is the happy place.
They feel okay. This business
It's worth
about
5
500,000
million
naira. They will say, okay, you have to pay 10,000 naira or even up to 50,000 naira. No, it's not per month. It's actually annually.
Oh.
Yes. Local government actually has a lot of taxes. I just remembered. If you go and check local governments, their bylaws or something, if you see the kind of taxes that local government has, bicycle, radio, television.
True.
Local government has a whole.
For
I don't
house
know.
owners and the
Local
likes.
government has a whole lot of taxes. So you see those things they are collecting. I can't say they are illegal because local government will put it anywhere. Local government has, I don't know. Local government taxes like the UK. So probably it's just the air you are breathing in that you don't pay tax on. Yes.
Wholesome success is hinged on the sanity of the mind, which stems at the home front. Welcome to the Happy Family Podcast. I am Tokunbo Oloyede, and here we are happy people, and we are not faking it. Of course, in the house, we have our family members, and we usually have a swell time together. Happy people!
Happy family!
Yes, please connect with us on our social media platforms and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like, share, comment, click on the notification bell and get notified whenever we have newer content. Of course, before we get to introduce ourselves, talking about our family members, we will be going on a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still the Happy Family Podcast, proudly made possible by Prowess Pictures Limited. Yes, our family members are here. Let's start with the happy girl.
This your happy girl. Today we are down to business. Today is strictly business.
Yep.
Now, your name Montessori. I will encourage you to sit tight. There will be a lot to learn. We are learning here as a family, and you are learning across the screen. Thank you. Have a nice time with us.
Yeah, Nne Montessori, I thought you would have taken us to shop, let's because today we are talking about money matters. But thank you for helping us to save the money. Because with the economic situation of the country, it's better to save money this time. So hello, our viewers. We appreciate you tuning in again today. As we are spending money, we need to think about making money. We need to explore some other options. Is it always about getting a job, or do you have something on your mind that you'd like to really develop and blow into a business, and you don't know how to go about it? Today, we are going to be discussing, giving some insights into some basic foundational things that you need to know. Olabisi.
Yeah, you already mentioned it. So as I hear money like this, my ear just do wah wah. Wah wah. There's this saying people would say that Ijesha people, they like money. I don't know. Maybe it's only Ijesha people that like money.
People like money.
Nne Montessori.
Like money.
You said they there.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, no problem. So welcome again, our viewers. You're welcome. We are talking money matter today, and we are all making money together.
I love that. See, sometimes when you want to talk about some people, be sure that the next person sitting next to you is not part of the people. How can I be sitting next to me and say it is your people?
Well, you should have claimed it now that it's not only Ijesha people that like money. You would have just said
Everybody likes money. Everybody likes money.
I feel some people don't like money because they will always say Ijesha people are
I'm
money.
a pure breed Ijesha man. Both sides.
You can just imagine.
Both sides.
Even me, both sides. So Ijesha. Jeshani Mary.
Ujishali Ajori.
Eh,
All right,
Shoma
so
You guys
Let's-
started selling us out here, man.
Alonia. Don't be so
apparently, yeah,
come back.
business is quite essential. And as an experienced businessman in this economy, we talk about it. But man, it ain't easy. But we're surviving.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't easy. So let's go to my known landed acquaintance.
Okay, I'm from Ondo State, but I still love money. I beg. As in, I love money. I beg. Money is good, of course.
or illegal money?
Abba. Please make the money clean and legal. Thank you very
Make it
much.
clean, wash it very well.
Eh.
Yes,
That means it
now
was dirty
so
before.
that it will be clean now.
You know, people make mistakes in businesses that could actually ruin a very big business, a profitable business. And so our discussions are going to be moving towards how to ensure that you have something in place, something good, something solid in place, and have an enduring, a long-lasting legacy in business. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Amazing topic before us here. It says starting a business in Nigeria. Starting a business. Now, this is Nigeria. It's a different ball game. But amazingly, Emperor, when I checked a couple of videos on what it means to start a business in the Western world, man, it was a whole lot. I mean, documentation processes. I mean, if you are not given to reading and details, especially fine prints, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. Documents upon documents with several names. 401, this, that. So starting a business in Nigeria, how easy is it?
Well, it depends on who is talking. Everything in Nigeria is very good. God
Yeah.
bless Nigeria.
Yeah, God bless
But
Nigeria.
I think let's start from this point that you may have a very brilliant idea. And that idea, if it can be scaled to many people, you may need to consider starting a business, because it's not everything that should be a business. You might be doing a very petty trading. That's a business, but you don't want to go start running from one pillar to post because you are doing a small trading, and you may be rendering. There may be a small service that you can render for people, but you don't want to. But when this business, you will be able to do it repeatedly, I believe there are lots of things that you need to put into consideration. You need to look at how you would relate with the people patronizing you, aka your customers or your clients. And you need to also consider your relationship with the banking sector. You need to consider your relationship with the government. It's going to work differently. And I want to also add that you need to consider your relationship with those who will be working with you.
All the stakeholders.
Exactly,
Yeah.
all the stakeholders, because you see, some of these stakeholders, there are some that you don't even see. Like I talked about government, I talked about the financial institutions and so on. At least those that you see very often are your customers or clients and your workers, people supporting you to do the business. It's not an easy task. It's not that. So I think what will be painful is when you go through all that stress, the things that you did not know, now putting you in a difficult situation. For example, someone walks up to you and said that I once when I was 20, I started a business. And, I just had this brilliant idea. I started the business.
Excited.
I was excited about it. I spoke to my uncle. My uncle was just looking at me that it's like this boy, he knows what he's saying. My uncle, through my uncle, where I was able to secure a loan, and we started it as a partnership. But one day, while we were busy doing our business, so I started a partnership.
So one day. Yes, sir.
So one day, uh, some people a car just parked in front of our office complex. The guys came into the office, and then they said, hello, hello, who is this? So my people called me, hello, hello, hello. They said, we have to pay a particular tax. In fact, they listed a number of taxes, and they mentioned a particular one for the name of our company, where we
That's the signpost.
The signage.
the
The signage,
signpost and the signage. And they said per centimeter there's an amount that we needed to pay. I was shocked. I was like, these guys did not even ask me if we have made any money recently. They are telling me that this one is obligatory and we have to pay it. And right there, we actually had to pay the money. So I just think there's a lot. It's not easy to do business. It's not easy to do business in Nigeria.
Okay.
So you need to get all the necessary information.
Please, I'd love to hear. I mean, what happened to that business? What happened eventually to that business? Is it still? In operation?
The business did well, to the glory of God, and it's largely due to my resilience, in the face of everything, because there was the challenge of how to finance the business. At that time, don't forget, I was 20.
20 years of age.
Yes, no collateral, no nothing. So, but then I had an uncle who used his own resources to approach the bank, and he gave us a loan. So through the loan, we were able to buy computers. We started doing a lot of stuff. We registered business, and we paid back the loan with interest.
Wow.
Yes,
Interesting.
and we paid the loan back with interest, bought more computers. We started with 5 computers. We bought 10, bought laptops, bought generators, bought a lot of things. And I had the biggest training institute, and I was doing a lot of things at that time, in that city. But at a point in time, I just realized that Lagos is the happening place. So
you're an expert. I think you're an expert on this subject matter.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know all the laws. I don't know some other things. I don't know what the government, fully expects, from an individual. Yes.
I would like to have that starting a business depends on the field of the business. So you might be an expert in that field of a business. Business varies, like agricultural business, beauty business, food business.
You're an agriculture.
Food is
Like all different kinds of businesses. But I just feel that at the very beginning, first you register your business name, or you register the business, visit the Corporate Affairs Commission, get a lawyer, do that legally, because that's a document you use to have a bank account. If the bank is going to give you a loan, have a bank, access the loans, and
I caught you, Papi Sam. So you register a business name, our landed family member.
No, I said business name, and then the business itself. It depends on. I'm just giving an example. I'm not talking about myself.
Yeah, I think it's important to know exactly what you need to register, because you talked about approaching a bank for loans and all of that.
Yeah.
You need to know what kind of bank will respect what kind of documents, which particular.
Of course, if it's agricultural related banks, government have grants for it. Different grants evolve every time. At the time, I think there was Fadama, because I worked there, so we gave people grants at Fadama that year. Then Ministry of Agric as well. So I think for me, I just visit the ministry that is responsible for the business you want to start and find out what is obtainable.
Yeah, that's
Feasibility studies.
Yeah,
I don't know. Is that necessary? Or are we talking about this topic from the point of you've done your feasibility studies? All the information required to start the business is on ground, or you are just jumping, or...
I actually talked about feasibility studies when I said you have an idea that can be scaled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because one of the things that will kill a business is liquidity issue. When you have liquidity problem, what is liquidity problem? Liquidity problem is when you cannot meet your short-term financial obligation. You have to pay for this, you don't have money. You have to pay for that, you don't have money. Eventually, people might, harass you or try to seek, use the legal means to collect their monies, and you don't have money for the operations, of the business.
Exactly.
So feasibility studies has to do with, do you have enough? This business, is it something that you will be able to get enough people, to patronize that kind of service.
Exactly.
Businesses have to make money. To make money, you have to sell. And you have to. It's not just selling. It's not selling to 5 people, depending on the nature of your business, might be enough if you are selling to a company and what you are selling is huge. But selling to 5 people will not make sense if the item you are selling is 1,000 naira and you sell to 5 people, and for the next 6 months they are not going to come back to buy anything.
Exactly.
So that's where the feasibility studies
comes
comes in. Yeah.
So I think it's all, like you said, all these things have to be in place first, so that at least, like the Holy Book puts it, count your cost before saying you want to build a house. Have every detail that you have, and then from there you can now start running the business carefully.
Okay, so these details that we are looking at, in Nigeria, some people just want to do a business in small scale, others in large scale. So you want to say that someone who wants to start a business in small scale business, is the person also required to go through all these processes? Maybe let's just say someone who just wants to sell confectionaries and toiletries in the front of the house. Does this person need to register for anything?
Maybe I should ask, how will this person get money to? Is the person able to get the money from home and all of that?
Yes.
So if you can get your money from home, you might want to think that, why go through the stress? I don't need money from anybody. My husband is going to give me the money. I already have the money. Okay. But you just imagine, you could be selling rice in a small shop in front of your home. But one day you want to sell, you need to supply 4 bags of rice, or you are still selling in that place. It's Christmas period. Now a bag of rice is, let's say, it's 100,000, and you know that this is the time when you should be able to sell 5 bags of rice. You now need 500,000. What happens? And you don't have this 500,000 yourself. What happens at that point?
I would like to add to that if you have a future plan for your business and that business is going to grow, then you have to do the prerequisites.
So does that mean
if you ever feel that business needs to grow, get to a point where you might need to have contracts or documents to expand, then start properly. Don't limit yourself to. Don't limit yourself to.
So does that mean loan is easily accessible like that?
Yeah, I think before we look at the loan, let us look at the identity of the company. Before we talk about the loan, let's look at the identity of the company. Okay. So what does that mean? Is there something, the identity of a company or a business, does it have to be you? Are you the same and one and same person? How does the law see you as a business?
Okay. So when you're talking about businesses, of course, a business can be registered in several ways. You can register as a business name. Like the example you cited of someone that just wants to run a small business in front of their house and whatever. It's better to register a business name. In this sense, it gives you a different identity from your business. Not that someone will see you and come and hold you by the neck. Okay, if there is any liability, of course, they will hold your business rather than hold you. That is why it is important first to register a business. So you can register as a business name. You can register as a limited liability company. It can be public or private. Public limited liability and public liability companies or public limited liability companies are usually for big corporations that deal with the public, where the public have to buy their shares and all, maybe like banks and all. They have to register as a public limited liability company. Then you can have an unlimited company, but that one is not usually used oftentimes, because although there are instances where the law actually stipulates that some companies must be registered as unlimited companies, because if there is any liability on the company, the liability of the company can be pursued to any extent. That is, they will lift the veil of the company and go after all the stakeholders,
the owners,
everybody, to recover every asset they need to recover. So that is where a company has to be registered as unlimited liability. Then, the other part, maybe not really business, for churches and all, NGOs, those are incorporated trustees, but we don't often regard them, or the law registers them, but we can't call them so-called business entities. It's just to ensure that there is a face, or there are people that are present as the face of such organization. So it is important to, when you are running a business, to let your business have an identity of its own, have a life of its own differently from you, so
as
that
an
the business
individual.
can outlive you. It can outlive you that way.
How does that help you? You know the question that she asked
On
about
the loans.
Yes.
Okay, of course, if you don't have any legally, you don't have any registration showing that you have legally registered your business, you cannot access any loan anyway, except it's from your family and friends, of which you know that such loans are limited. But if you are going to be accessing any loans from the government or from international organizations, of course, you have to have a legally registered company or a business name. A business name too will do in some cases, not in all cases.
Okay. So you
Thank you very
so
much.
so
What-
a business name do not really have access to loan. Is that what you are saying?
To some loans,
a
it
business
will
name-
do.
So that means it's limited.
Of course, it is very, very limited.
Okay, so but when you register as a company, you can easily access loan
Yes.
as a company, not
It's
as
easier.
a name. So there's difference between registering as a name
A
and
business
a
name, of
company,
course.
right?
A business name is
So what's
different
the what's the difference?
All right,
What are
we'll-
the
we'll-
documents that bind?
We'll take the question when we come back after
The-
this short break. Of course, that question must stand. Yes, we'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we will continue, with the program. Welcome back. It's still the Happy Family Podcast, and we are discussing starting a business in Nigeria. Of course, our family members are here. We had a question asked before we went on that short break. Of course, Olabisi was asking the question, and we'll just go back to Olabisi.
Yeah.
Well, go
So
on.
I was asking, I said, is there a difference between a business name and a company?
Of course.
Registering as a business name and a company, and what are the documents that bind them, and
Okay.
which one is more important than which?
Okay. It's more, pardon me. There is a difference between a business name and a company, definitely. Now, the business name offers the owner a limited liability. I was explaining an unlimited liability company. In this case, the liability is limited in the sense that you've registered this company. If there is any problem with the company, who the law will go after, or what the law will go after, will be the assets of that company, not your. No, for
the
a company,
registered
for a
company.
registered
All
company.
right.
The company will go after the assets of that company, not after your own personal assets. You get? Yes, if there's a problem. So if the business has tables, chairs, the law can sell everything, but your own personal assets are protected because it is an entity on its own, has a life of its own, breathes on its own. A business name, however, is like a sole proprietorship. Now, it is you are the business name. You've only registered yourself under the law somehow. Okay. So you are not really protected from that liability by a business name, or yes, by a business name. It does not really protect you from that liability. Just like when there is an issue, of course, being a business name, you have to actually cover every liability that your business owns. You get, in that sense. Then another thing is that a business name is taxed differently from a company. Of course, the tax of a business name is lower than that of what a company will pay. So registering them is not basically very, very different. Just about the same documents too are required. Just a few changes and all. So
I have registered as a name. I've
business
registered
name.
a business name, and I feel okay
want
because
to
of this
upscale
thing
to a
that
country, a
you
company.
just said. I want to just upscale. So what are the processes? What am I going to do?
it's not difficult. Just talk to your lawyer or your CSC accredited agents. What they do is there is room to register a business name as a company.
To re-register as a
Yes,
business.
you can always
I can
re-register.
actually change
You can always re-register a business name as a company.
as a company.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Fantastic.
I'm just getting
Now, running a business in this time, in this economy is quite challenging. Basically, because of how the economy moves, and you have to upgrade price. I was sharing typically earlier that assume you started a business 2 years ago, and maybe you started with let's assume 30,000 naira, and then you want to start again now. you can't start with that 10,000 naira again. And then the economy really affect how you make sales, what you do, and that has been responsible for a lot of business to shut down or just go invisible or just close. And it's quite challenging. So that was what I said even before the show started, that running a business in Nigeria is like the survival of the fittest. You have to keep pushing. You have to make sure that your business still stay afloat. But some people just say they are just staying afloat, barely above the water to survive. So my thought really is, are there ways where we can, as business people, hold each other's hands to make sure that, okay, we can survive and can push this business more. And then you see this thing where I started let's assume, okay, it happened with pure water business. When somebody started some years ago, I'm very new with pure water businesses
Everywhere.
Red Ocean.
and then it's a thing that happens in this climate where someone started a business and before you know it,
Fish pond.
there was one time when I used to produce events years ago, but now everybody's an event producer. So the kind of sales we make then is not the kind of sales we make now, and it's quite competitive. And for me, it's a huge challenge. If I start selling rest now, the 5 of you now take you want to sell, the commission starts. So for me, it's just a lot of pressure by the economy for people to survive.
Well, I'll respond to your question about how can business people hold their hands and stay afloat together or even thrive. One thing is this: we often want to do it's my own, but we forget that we can do it our own. People can enter into partnerships, but I always say, if you want to enter into a partnership, please have a joint venture agreement. Dictate how profits will be shared in your agreement, how partners will control this and that, and how you want the business to come to an end and when, if you have a specific time. That is the reason you should have a joint venture agreement. When we partner together, oftentimes we do better than when everybody stays on their lane. Aha.
People are afraid of enemies, people, because we've heard there's this Yoruba proverb. I'm not so good with that, but my wife keeps on saying it. That's which means
that is why you should have a joint venture agreement.
Money is the one that destroys
Friendships.
Yes.
So yes,
That is why I said you should not just jump into a partnership. Oh, my friend, let's start partnership.
Yes.
Have a joint venture agreement. That is fine
from a
print.
legal perspective.
Yes, this is how this partnership is going to be run. Not that someone will run to the account and pack out the money that both of you have been laboring for and run away from the country. It won't work that way. Okay, this is how our bank accounts are going to be run. This is that. If this person does this, what will be the consequences? So that you know that this thing, I am totally protected. Both sides, or even 3 sides, or whatever, 4 sides, they are protected completely. And totally.
I think we have a society that breeds sentimentality.
Okay.
Where we get sentimental. This person has been my friend for 10 years.
Exactly.
Then-
And when you bring
yes,
up this kind
so
of
when you
thing,
bring
they
up that-
feel
You feel sort of ashamed.
ashamed.
You feel sort of ashamed to
it's
talk
not
about
supposed
an
to be
been
agreement.
friends for so long.
Oh, why
that
you?
should not happen.
Oh, why
and
you?
things so we can start
I
business
think
like
that
that.
person does
That-
not have
that
a
would
good
be
intent.
why-
And I think because in this climate, people don't readily go for what is meant to be done by the law. You don't want to have alternatives. Because I feel that, I've had friends that have started business in other climes, and you have to do what has to be done by the law. Every agreement has to be signed, and it has to be properly done.
That's what
But
it
in this
should
part of
be.
the world, you just want to have an option.
Even with family members, have an agreement. That is
Sign
what
contracts.
saves you. Yes, that is what saves you at the end of the day. There's nothing like we said it will be your words against the person's own. So what exactly do we want of this? Have it written down in law. Register your documents. This is our agreement, and that is how it stands. That way you know that you are protected if one side flops.
Yeah.
That is it.
Okay, Mama, stepping in from the angle of family, because I worked with a family where the husband and wife, they own a business, a school, actually. At the end of the day, they still having marital issues, and they had to, go their separate way, divorce and all that. In that kind of setting, you also say that when a man and a wife are running the same business, they should have these legal bindings, sign a contract, have, is it
Wow,
Is it advice?
You know
That's
that
very,
exist.
And another
that's
point-
very touchy.
At this
that's
point,
a
no, it's
deep
not
one.
touchy. Oh.
No, it's deep.
It's
Really,
deep and
reason is
touchy
this.
because some people.
Husband and wife can start a business, and to be very candid, they will never ever have to think of a joint venture agreement, because they will be like, it's our
yes,
business.
it's ours.
This one brings his own quota, that one brings our own quota, and they'll be like, oh, we'll just start and that will be okay and all. So the truth is, I will tell you the truth. I know that most businesses run by couples do not have any joint venture agreement. They just go into it
Exactly.
like
As
we are
one,
a unit.
as a unit.
And
Yeah.
do you know that the law actually recognizes them as a unit? So how will Mr. and Mrs. Mr. A and Mrs. A come together and say they want to have a joint venture agreement? It's actually very, very difficult.
That's a contrary opinion.
Country.